यमुना तीरावनचारी जय कुंदधारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज विहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज। हरे कृष्णा हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रामणि सुदर्शन जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रामणि सुदर्शन जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रामणि सुदर्शन जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पतवामी नयन पतवामी भगवती जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पतवामी नयन पतवामी भगवती जगन्नाथ स्वामी नयन पतवामी नयन पतवामी भगवती जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ स्वामी जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ जय जगन्नाथ Jai Jagannath Swami Jai Jagannath. Gauranita, 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 Gauranita. Radhe Krishna Chandra, 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 Radhe Krishna Chandra. Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gaurango, Gaurango, Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gaurango, Gaurango. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Swami Srila Prabhupada, Patita Pavana Srila Prabhupada, Patita Pavana Srila Prabhupada, Jagannath Swami, Jagannath Swami, Narana Patagami Bhavati. Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jaya 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 Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada की जय, गौर निताय की जय, जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा मैया की जय. Hare Krishna devotees. So today we'll be discussing Srimad Bhagavatam 35, 36, 37 number sloka of 6th chapter of 4th canto. So we'll be discussing shortly. And welcome to all of you for this Srimad Bhagavatam Zoom class. Hare Krishna. I'm just projecting the slokas. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrutyam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jayamunirayet Nashtaprayasho Bhatresho Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamyam Dadati Supadantikam Vandeham Sri Gurum Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavansyam Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakaitam Tam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So I'll read the sloka one after another. There are 3 slokas. I'll read slowly. 35th sloka. of sixth chapter of fourth canto. विद्यातपयोग पठम् अस्थितां तम् अधीश्वरम् चरन्तं विश्वसौहृदं वात्सल्यलोकमङ्गलम्. Word to word translation by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. Vidya, knowledge. Tapaha, austerity. Yoga patham, the path of devotional service. Astitam, situated. Tam, him, Lord Shiva. Adishwaram, the master of senses. Charantam, performing, that is austerity, etc. Vishwasaurudam, the friend of whole world. Vatsalyat, out of full affection. Lokamangalam, auspicious for everyone. Translation. The demigod saw Lord Shiva situated in his perfection as a master of senses, knowledge, and fruitive activities, and a path of achieving perfection. He was the friend of the entire world, and by virtue of his full affection for everyone, he was auspicious. Purport. Lord Shiva is full of wisdom and tapasya, austerity. One who knows the modes of work is understood to be situated on the path of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One cannot serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead unless one has achieved full perfectional knowledge in the ways and means of performing devotional service. The Lord Shiva is described here as Adishwara. Ishwara means controller, and Adishwara means particularly controller of senses. Generally, our materially contaminated senses are apt to engage in sense gratificatory activities. But when a person is elevated by wisdom and austerity, the senses then become purified and they become engaged in the service of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Shiva is the emblem of such perfection, and therefore in the scripture it is said, Vaishnavanam yata Shambhu. The Lord Shiva is the Vaishnava. Lord Shiva, by his actions within the material world, teaches all conditioned souls how to engage in devotional service 24 hours a day. Therefore, he is described here as a Lokamangala, good fortune personified for all the conditioned souls. 36 shloka. Lingam cha tapasa abhishtam bhashmadanda jatajinam angena sandhya brarucha chandralekham cha vivratam. Lingam, symptom. Cha, and tapasa abhishtam, desired by Saivite aesthetics. Bhashma, ashes. Danda, staff. Jata, mat, hair. Ajinam, antelope skin. Angena, with this body. Sandhya abir abra, reddish. Rucha, colored. Chandralekham, the crest of all hope. Cha, and Bibratam, bearing. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. He was seated on a deer skin and was practicing all forms of austerity. Because his body was smeared with ashes, he looked like an evening cloud. On his hair was the sign of half moon and symbolic representation. Purport. Lord Shiva's symptoms of austerity are not exactly those of Vaishnava. Lord Shiva is certainly the number one Vaishnava, but he exhibits a feature for a particular class of men who cannot follow the Vaishnavas. The Shaivites, the devotees of Lord, generally dress like Lord Shiva, and sometimes they indulge in smoking and taking intoxicants. Such practices are never accepted by followers of Vaishnava rituals. 37 श्लोका. उपविष्टं दर्भमय्यां ऋष्यां ब्रह्म सनातनं नारदाय प्रवोच्यन्तं पृच्छते शृणुतां सताम्. Upavishtam, seated, Darbhamayam, made of darbha, straw, that is straw, Vrashyam, on the mattress, Brahma, the absolute truth, Sanatanam, the eternal, Naradaya, unto Narada, Pravachantam, speaking, Prachate, asking, Shunvatam, listening, Satam, of the great sages. Translation. He was seated on a straw mattress and speaking to all present, including the great sage Narada, to whom he specifically spoke about the absolute truth. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Lord was sitting on a mattress of straw because such a sitting place is accepted by persons who are practicing austerities to gain understanding of absolute truth. In this verse, it is specifically mentioned that he was speaking to the great sage Narada, a celebrated devotee. Narada was asking Lord Shiva about devotional service, and Shiva, being a topmost Vaishnava, was instructing him. In other words, Lord Shiva and Narada were discussing the knowledge of Veda, but it is to be understood that the subject matter was devotional service. Another point in this connection is that Lord Shiva is the supreme instructor and great sage Narada is a supreme audience. Therefore, the supreme object, the supreme subject matter of Vedic knowledge is bhakti or devotional service. Hare Krishna. नमो विश्वपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमदे जयपताका स्वामी निति नामने नमो आचार्यपदाय निताय कृपाप्रदायिने गौरकदारमणय नगरग्रामतारिणे नमो विश्वपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमदे भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी निति नामने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासरि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. विद्यातपयोग पथम अस्थितां तमधीश्वरां चरणं तम विश्वसंरोधां वात्सल्य लोकमंगलम् लिंगम च तापसाभीष्टं भस्मदंड जटाजिनीम् अंगेन संध्या प्ररुच्या चंद्रलेखां च बिभ्रतम् उपविष्टं दर्भमयां वृष्यां ब्रह्म सनातनं नारदाय प्रवच्यन्त पृच्छते शृणुतां सताम्. The demigods saw Lord Shiva situated in his perfection as a matter of senses, knowledge, beauty, activities, and the path of achieving perfection. He was the friend of the entire world, and by virtue of his full affection for everyone, he was very auspicious. He was seated on a deer skin and practicing all forms of austerity. Because his body was smeared with ashes, he looked like an evening cloud. On his hair was the sign of Hapu, the symbolic presentation. He was seated on a straw mattress and speaking to all present, including the great sage Narada, to whom he specifically spoke about absolute truth. Hare Krishna. So we'll discuss the topics now. So this is a description of Kailash planets. Kailash planets means abode of Lord Shiva. So we know this is chapter mainly deals with glories of Lord Shiva and how Brahma satisfied Lord Shiva. It means what? Lord Shiva is higher than Lord Brahma. And Lord Vishnu is a expansion of Krishna. And from Lord Vishnu is higher than Lord Shiva, obviously. And from the Lord Vishnu only Lord Shiva comes. That's called Shiva Tattva. So this chapter, the incidents which is being described in the three shlokas is basically demigods visits along with Lord Brahma to Kailash planets to meet Lord Shiva. Meet me in the sense they are not just to meeting him, they are not going to meet him, they are actually take a pardon, ask the forgiveness from the Lord Shiva. Why so? Because the previous incidences, Lord Shiva got insulted by Daksha. Daksha is like a Prajapati, like he comes into category like demigods. He's not a demigod, but he's like a demigod. And he's actually the son of Brahma. Demigods, Daksha, Prajapati, they are all coming from Brahma. But Prajapati Daksha was son of Brahma. He's a mind son, mental son of Brahma. This is we are talking about the start of creation. This is the whole starting of the creation, and then conduct of creation has been explained by Maitreya Muni to Vidura after the inquiry. So, Daksha is Prajapati, son of Brahma. Daksha's daughter was Sati. She was married to Lord Shiva. Why? Because she wanted to marry Lord Shiva. And actually, Lord Shiva doesn't need marriage in the sense he is not actually Grosth also. Although he is marrying and all that, but he is a pure sannyasi, that way speaking. In terms of his uh, attitude and in terms of his very high position, he is not at all attached to anything, including woman in sense enjoyment, material world, position, money, everything. Lord Shiva is known for this. So in this shloka also, the first shloka also says that he is completely detached from all this, and he is actually have achieved that knowledge of perfection of yoga. Yoga means connecting with Lord. So yoga essentially talks about bhakti yoga. There are other yogas you know, but mainly I talk about. And Lord Shiva is a devotee of Lord Vishnu, that way speak. But he's not only devotee like us. We are devotees. We are like ordinary souls. We are trying to be devotee. So that devotees we are trying to be served. Lord Shiva is actually expansion of Lord Vishnu. Actually, is almost at the equal level of Vishnu. That's what Bhagavatam says. Almost. Is coming from Lord Vishnu. So when Garbhodaksha Vishnu is glancing at on the material world, Pradhan of this material world, that is called Pradhan. That he's glancing and material being manifested. That time the glance itself is symbolically represents the Lord Shiva. That's what it is said at some place. Understanding Lord Shiva is not today's topic fully because that's very vast topic. But Lord Shiva, just to summarize, he's actually he's coming from Lord Vishnu. He's the expansion of Lord Vishnu. He's the Tattva, Vishnu Tattva. Shiva Tattva is coming from Vishnu Tattva. And he is definitely not an ordinary living being. He is higher than Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is a post. Like Lord Brahma comes in the category of Devatas. Above than Devatas, but practically Devatas, demigods. Lord Brahma is created from the navel of Mahavishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu. And Lord Brahma is the creator of universes. But Lord Shiva is before Lord Brahma, before creation itself. And Lord Shiva is actually helping Lord Vishnu in expansion, maintenance, that way, in one sense. And he is there to demonstrate many spiritual, feats. And he is the Vaishnava because he is the devotee of Lord Krishna. Vaishnavanam Yatashambhu. And he takes care of, in that way, destruction also of the material universe. So whenever material universe has to be destructed, it is facilitated by Lord Shiva. Is carried out by Lord Shiva under the supervision or under the permission of Lord Vishnu. Now, when Lord Shiva destroys the material universe, doesn't mean he is a destructive person. No. Creation of the material universe, maintenance of material universe, and dissolution is a very standard cyclic process which keeps happening in material world. They are called pralayas. So there are individual level pralayas, like each living entity dies, so body gets pralayed. So there are, Manvantara, there is some pralayas in Manvantara. Then in the Kalpa, there is some pralaya. And then in the day of Brahma, there is one pralaya. Then at the end of Brahma's life, 100 years of life, there is one pralaya. And then overall, there is a material universe get absorbed back into the Mahavishnu's body and again gets created. So this is happening perennially. Material universe is that way. Material world, material universe is actually the like a cloud on the blue sky, which is a spiritual universe. So cloud keeps coming and going, evaporated, being there, coming, going, coming, going. The spiritual kind, material world doesn't get destroyed. So this is the material world, and where Lord Shiva is also created, and Lord Shiva destroys this material world with the help of Lord Vishnu. And it is not, it is a tattva, it is not a post. Brahma is a post. For example, Brahma is given the in charge of that particular universe, where there are innumerable universes in the material world. So each universe, Brahma is created, and that post is their engineer's post, who is a creator. He also get destroyed, and somebody else, some living entity, some soul who is having huge power, takes up that post. It's like company. Some people posts are there. People come and go. People come and go in that post, like that Brahma's post. And all the demigods posts are like posts. Shiva is not a post. It's a tattva. He's a human. He's a being. He's a living being. He's a person. He's a personality. And but directly coming from Lord Vishnu. That's the difference. So that is why Shiva is practically same level worshipped as a Vishnu. In some Saivites worship Shiva as a supreme. That's for their Puranas, which is there because there are various Puranas, and Puranas are categorized into three types: mode of goodness people, for the people of mode of goodness, for the people of mode of passion, and for the people of mode of ignorance. So people who are in mode of ignorance, they don't have much intelligence. That is also some Puranas are given. So Shaivites is there. So basically, that is all various categories. Anyway, it's a very different topic, and a lot of debates keeps happening. But if you go by the Srimad Bhagavatam way, Lord Vishnu and Lord Krishna is supreme. Shiva is almost like supreme. He's almost tattva. He's actually Lord Vishnu himself, that way speaking. So Vaishnavas like us worship Lord Shiva. It is not we Vaishnavas doesn't really give much priority to demigod worship. That's true. Why? Because Lord Krishna says, you worship me, demigod worship is taken care. But that doesn't mean we don't worship Vishnu. Sorry. That doesn't mean we don't worship demigod. We worship demigod not as a procedure, not as a supreme, or not as a procedure, or not as a vidhi, but we respect demigod the way they are. And then in that mood, we worship them, or we take their darshan. Devotees goes to demigod's temple also. It's not that they don't go. But we just say, yes, you are superhuman or super living entity who are actually the servants of Lord Krishna. So devotee sees them like that. But they are very pious and very powerful and a much more higher level of devotion than us. So we worship them that way. Correct? But otherwise, there is no necessity of worshipping demigod. But we respect them. We should not disrespect, because they are much more at higher level. So that is a situation of Devata. But we worship, same way Lord Shiva also, we worship as a Vishnu. He's a Shiva Tattva coming from Vishnu Tattva. So we that way speaking, we give respect to Lord Shiva also. Okay. There is no question of disrespecting any demigod or even the higher tattvas. So that is Lord Shiva's position. We should understand that. So in this context now, the incidence here is, just to continue the discussion, demigods who got scared by the Shiva followers, Nandi and Virabhadra, and they destroyed the arena of the Daksha's Yajna. Why? Because he did not invited Lord Shiva first of all. But anyway, that is not a reason for destroying the Daksha and all that. That's not. Just because he's not invited, nobody will kill somebody. But problem is, Lord Shiva was is a like son-in-law of Daksha, and Sati was Daksha's daughter, and she, being very angry at her father's attitude of disrespecting Lord Shiva, first of all, secondly, disrespecting the whole position of Lord Shiva, and more importantly, insulting Lord Shiva. She was not happy, and then he did not invite it second time. First time he invited Lord Shiva, he insulted Lord Shiva. Okay, but that was all. Lord Shiva is very merciful. He is very merciful like Vaishnava because he's a topmost Vaishnava. So he did not took it to the heart. Okay, fine. Even though he got insulted. Um, but second time he was not even invited. Although being a son-in-law. One is son-in-law, second is the position of Lord Shiva is very high. So all sort of those incidences offended the Sati, and she was not very happy, and she went there to the Daksha Yajna. And when she saw there is practically no mention of Lord Shiva and Sati, or there is no oblation, or there is no arrangement for them, or on behalf of them anything. It's like ignoring the whole both of them by father or her father, which nobody, no woman or no man will like that, and especially a woman uh, will not like that because if they ignore, this is our day-to-day life also we see in marriages, our day-to-day marriages we go, and generally the stree or the wife or ladies part, they will be sort of very particular about this, who was invited, whether they have been given respect, and whether they have been given their share of their whatever share of their whatever you call uh, like in marriage, some shares has been given, some gift has been given, or some respect had been given, some vidhis, some activities, or some karma kanda activity they will do, and it will be done by this particular, daughters. Like it's all there. We know that. So if that is not given, they feel bad because that's a right. It's a material. I'm talking about some material transactional things, but that is how it is, and she got uh, insulted, and she by her yogic power burned herself, means he left the body, and she was not happy. So Lord Shiva was very much angry this time because he lost his wife, dear wife. Of course, Lord Shiva is not attached to anything, but his wife Sati was very dear to him. That is the way to look at it. So, and then again insult. So then he ordered Veerabhadra and the team, and they killed Daksha. That's an embarrassment for Daksha when he got life again by mercy of Lord Shiva. But then it was goat's head which was put back on his, on his body to make him embarrassed. That, see, look, if you are puffed up in material life, forget about spiritual life. Spiritual life, there is no place for pride or puffed up things. But in material world also, it happens. The moment person get pride or something, is bound to Maya is bound to make him insulted in a very embarrassing way. That happens. So in this way, so he was given goat head. Anyway, that's the story. But then there was a lot of destruction and fighting in the demigods, and then Shiva's followers, they are very fierce. Shiva's followers are not just they are very powerful and very sort of weird, I will say, and very powerful, very scary personalities. And they scared the demigods. They started beating demigods. The demigod ran to Brahma as usual, and they said, "Okay, please save us." So Brahma told, "What you people are done? You are not invited Lord Shiva. Secondly, you are insulted Lord Shiva. Without Lord Shiva, there is no question of sacrifice, any sacrifice. And of course, Lord Vishnu is the enjoyer of that sacrifice. But Lord Shiva's presence is also very important." So that's the whole background story here. And then demigods and Brahma, they were approaching Lord Shiva and they went on the Kailash planet. Kailash planet description is given, so beautiful description is given. It's like a Vaikuntha planet. Like it's earlier shlokas is given big trees, rivers, mountains, a lot of animals and very beautiful lakes. A lot of very nice description is given. It's not context of this now today's, because we have to discuss other shlokas, but you can read some other day. Very beautiful description. Like in earlier shlokas we have seen, there is a description of Vaikuntha planets also when the in the story of four Kumaras. So like that the description is given. And Lord Shiva is also there. Of course, he resides on that. Lord Shiva, when they went to meet Lord Shiva, they saw Lord Shiva sitting beneath the banyan tree. Banyan tree is, that tree is some kilometers, some hundreds of kilometers tall. Anyway, and then he was discussing the transcendental topic, Prabhupada writes, with Narada Muni. Narada Muni is the most best audience devotee, audience devotee. That's what Prabhupada explains. And Lord Shiva is the instructor. We know there are four sampradayas. One of the sampradaya comes from Lord Shiva. And obviously it's the Vaishnava sampradaya. So Lord Shiva is the devotee of Lord. And he is absorbed in tapasya. If you see the Lord Shiva's appearance, first of all, his external appearance like very little bit scary or not very very up to date that way in a conventional way. But actually it indicates he's completely detached. He's least bothered about the bodily concept of life. He's smearing his body with ash, and that also ash coming from the smashan, and then there are some garland of skulls and jata, like his hairs are not matted and very long hairs, and he's blue because he drank the poison coming out from the churning of the ocean, uh, samudra manthan. Okay, so that it came at that time. So he ate that poison because otherwise that poison would have killed the whole universe. So he's so powerful and so merciful. His external appearance doesn't look to be that way, but he's actually for very merciful. That is why we should understand all these great personalities or great, qualities of the Leelas of these personalities to the Srimad Bhagavatam. Then only we can understand. Otherwise, we may misunderstand. So anyway, so the Prabhupada writes here in the purport. I'll just read quickly again. So Lord Shiva is full of wisdom, tapasya, and austerity. Tapasya is austerity. One who knows the modes of work is understood to be situated on the path of devotional service. So when they visited, Lord Shiva was instructing Lord Narada about devotional services. Why? Because he is the best, the topmost instructor on devotional service. Because he is full of wisdom and tapasya, austerity. We know Lord Shiva is inherently connected with austerity. Austerity means we get in front of us Lord Shiva's personality, image, is it not? Because he's very austere. Okay, and he's completely detached. He's least bothered, and he's not at all. What is a sign of his topmost authority? Because he never get distracted by the most distracting element in material world. What is that most distracting element in material world? That is lust, kama, sex desire. He is never get agitated by that, which doesn't happen anything below that. Anything below him, all those demigods and living beings and like us, they get distracted or affected by the urge of the lust. That is known. Of course, pure Vaishnava, pure devotees also, they also have that disposition like Lord Shiva because it's a Vaishnava, pure Vaishnava. Very so all Vaishnavas who are actually at very pure 100%, they will not get distracted. So the point here is Lord Shiva is demonstrating in with his example the how to do devotional service, and that's what It is Prabhupada explained that he's a controller of senses, Adishwara. Lord Shiva is described here as Adishwara, is control of senses. When I say senses, all five senses, but more specifically sense of, sex urge. Okay, that is he is able to clearly demonstrated in his leelas. And I'm just writing, Lord Shiva is the emblem of such a perfection. Lord Shiva is the emblem of such a perfection. What is that perfection? Perfection of tapasya, perfection of rules and regulations, perfection of austerity, of course, and then knowledge, perfect knowledge. So what is the perfect knowledge? Knowledge about Lord Krishna is the perfect knowledge, is what Shastras conclude. So Lord Shiva is expert into that, not only having knowledge, but he is expert in instructing. That's why one of the Sampradaya starts with Lord Shiva. That is sure. Okay. Rudra Sampradaya. That is the Vaishnava Sampradaya, but it's called Rudra Vaishnava Sampradaya. And then there is a lineage of Vaishnavas from that Sampradaya. Then Lord Shiva, by his action within this material world, teaches all conditioned souls how to engage in devotional service 24 hours a day. Therefore, it is described here as a Loka Mangala, good fortune personified for all conditioned souls. Very clearly explained by Prabhupada. How Lord Shiva is the ideal example of Vaishnava, Vaishnava Ythashambhu, is the best among the Vaishnavas. By how he is best among the Vaishnavas based on his austerities and knowledge. Give me 2 minutes, devotees. Just sorry, small disturbance. Just 2 minutes. Hare Krishna. Sorry, devotees, some disturbance there. Okay, we'll continue. So, Lord Shiva shows by his example on knowledge, on devotional knowledge about devotional service and the tapasya. Okay, so these are the main qualities. Prabhupada explains that Lord Shiva, we should always, look towards Lord Shiva as a perfect Vaishnava. Okay, then there are so when they demigods saw Lord Shiva is instructing them to Narada about devotional service. Then he was seated on a deer skin and was practicing all forms of austerity. Because his body was made with ashes, he looked like an evening cloud. On his hair was a sign of half moon, a symbolic representation. So this is like a appearance of Lord Shiva is being described here. What we should understand from here, basically knowledge, tapasya. That's what we should, we as a Vaishnava, what is the learning things here? What are the things which are going to learn here? So basically, perfect knowledge. Knowledge means knowledge about devotional service. We are not talking about any dry, speculative knowledge. We are talking about knowledge about devotion. That's why Prabhupada concludes specifically in the third shloka that when we talk about knowledge, actually it is, and when the topics between Lord Shiva and Narada cannot be anything other than devotional service. Prabhupada specifically, right? That is what we should. Prabhupada's purpose carries so much importance, because how we'll know what sort of discussion, but Prabhupada concludes with a proper logic and proper Shastric reference that they were talking about devotional service. Prabhupada writes here, in other words, Lord Shiva and Narada were discussing the knowledge of Veda, but it is to be understood that subject matter was a devotional service. Another point in this connection is that Lord Shiva is the supreme instructor and great sage Narada is the supreme audience. Therefore, the supreme object matter of Vedic knowledge is bhakti devotional service. Very clear. So, Vedas essentially talks about all sort of knowledge, but at a essence, at a level of essence, when it comes to essence of Vedic knowledge, it always derived that it's Vedas talks about the devotional service of the Lord Krishna in essence. Although there may be many other karma kandiya sections and lot of different types of knowledge being described, but we should not get confused. And Prabhupada specifically concludes in this slokas, three slokas, or the third sloka, 37 sloka, that they were describing about Narada. They were describing about devotional service. They means Narada Muni and Lord Shiva. There cannot be any other topic between them. There cannot be topic of some dry speculative knowledge, because Narada Muni is a perfect devotee. He is a devotee, and Lord Shiva is of course devotee, but he is the instructor also. Now, Lord Shiva, whenever he is going to talk to Narada, he is going to talk about devotional service only, because the combination of the instructor and the audience or the receptor cannot have any other topic than devotional service, is what Prabhupada concluded, which is very revealing to us. Otherwise, for people like us, just by reading, okay, what they may be discussing, or they may be discussing something, we may think like that, but we are not in position to understand. Prabhupada has made us to understand that they are discussing about the devotional service, because that's the context and that is the combination of the audience. Of course, there are other audiences also along with Narada Muni, but it's all basically mainly Narada Muni. So what we should understand from here is basically knowledge about Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees. So whole Bhagavatam is full with knowledge about Lord and his devotees, pastimes of Lord and his devotees. And it's not only pastimes or katha, it is not only story, it is a story with a lot of fundamental principles of life, Vedic knowledge, and of course, devotional service. So that is real perfect knowledge. Any knowledge which is in connection to Lord Krishna is the transcendental knowledge. And we should always connect everything to Lord Krishna. And if something is, we feel it is not really connected, of course, everything is connected to Lord Krishna that way. But if some knowledge which doesn't help us in progressing in devotional life, we need not worry about it. Of course, there is nothing like to disrespect anything. Everything is coming from Lord. Even material knowledge, what we say, whatever science we learn day to day, it's coming from Lord Krishna only. So there is no question of disrespecting that knowledge. But we need not worry about too much, or we need not get engrossed, or use it to the extent using that knowledge to progress ourselves in devotional service of Lord. It's also one way of utilizing, but we need not get carried away by knowledge, because that's not perfect knowledge. The perfect knowledge is the knowledge which connects you to Lord. This is from context, from our point of view. From Lord's point of view, everything is perfect, and he is perfect. His energy is perfect. Everything is perfect. So there is no question of discriminating in that way. So knowledge is what we should be always focusing on. We should always learn knowledge from the shastras, and Prabhupada books are meant for that. And austerity. So these are the very two important things: knowledge and austerity. Of course, austerity is required because Lord Shiva is actually demonstrating, and we know that austerity is required, because, and what sort of austerities? We cannot do the austerities like Lord Shiva. We need not do that. But Lord Shiva has a different purpose of the life. So he had a he's in charge of mode of ignorance. Of course, he's not in mode of ignorance, but he's in charge, and he's in charge of those people who are in that mode of ignorance. So he has got different, mission to carry out. So we need not worry too much on that part of it. How Lord Shiva's activities looks like, externally looks like, what sort of followers. That's all his lila. Okay. But what we should know is his perfect knowledge, his perfect Vaishnava, and third is his austerity. So at least to some extent, whatever Prabhupada has told us, Acharya has told us to carry out the austerities we should carry out. Those austerity we know very well. Four relative principle, following the four relative principle is the basic requirement, and that's austerity. It is not just rules, regulations, some just for sake of doing it. It is basically the austerity to make us austere. Following four regular principle is the austerity, and we should follow that. We should that is the example of Lord Shiva. And of course, beyond that also there are some austerities: rising early in the morning, and then keeping ourselves externally clean, and other sort of finer level austerities also are given, like following the Ekadashis or following the fastings on the festival days, and utilizing our body or mind for Lord's service, even though sometimes it goes against our wish, and that is austerity. Like that, there are many austerities also. Prabhupada has very uh, finely and systematically put in our recommended schedule, I mean, routine of our devotees' life, and which is actually austerity. And we should stick to that. We need not worry too much about too much austerity also. Oh, something very extreme austerity which destroys us or which we cannot tolerate. We should not do that. Whatever Prabhupada has mentioned, Acharyas have mentioned, follow that four-legative principle and other thing which we discussed. And just focus on the devotion service and focus on the knowledge. Focus on knowledge is very important, because if you know the principle, it's easy to carry out the devotional service. Like, for example, if you know why austerity has to be done, then is it easy to follow the austerities also. And the austerities become very much meaningful if you know why I am doing the austerity. You should not be for heck of doing it. Secondly, if you know, if you know who is Lord Krishna, if you know his position based on Shastra by knowledge, it will be easy for us to connect with him. That is the whole, purpose. That is the whole purpose of reading about the Lord and the knowledge, devotional service knowledge. So, so this is, so summary is basically, we have I have described the incidents there. Kailash planets, demigods are visiting Lord Brahma to satisfy Lord Shiva, to beg his pardon and to forgive, request him to forgive them. That's a motivation people are, demigods are going. And why this incidents, we described Daksha, second Yagya, and Daksha got killed and all those. So that is all we have seen. And Lord and Prabhupada concludes that they were discussing about devotional service because Lord Shiva is the Vaishnava, and he is a topmost yogi also, and like that. So this is the context, and this is the takeaway from this three shlokas and Prabhupada's. So I will stop here now. So we will sort of any question answers devotees can pose, and comments also. And before that, Dandat Pranam Uttam Damodar Prabhuji, maybe any addition from your side, any correction, please add to that, and then we can get into questions and answers. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, very beautifully described. Very nice. Thank you for the description that you gave. And not only that, even in the material world, we have so many things which needs to be really ignored. Even if the material knowledge is there, it is coming from Krishna. That we're not very thorough with it. We don't have to worry, but then it's very important to carry the spiritual knowledge, is what you said, which is the striking point. And Lord Shiva and Narada again discussing on the pastimes of the Lord. Though it is Vedas are all about the pastimes of the Lord. So wonderfully described, Prabhu. Thank you very much. I don't have any comments, Prabhu. Just want to thank you for the wonderful explanation that you gave. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dhanyavad for your comment. Hare Krishna. So any questions, comments from the devotees, we can take, otherwise after some time, then we can close the session. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guruji. Thanks for nectarian class. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, Prabhuji. So I think if there is no questions or comments further, we will close the session. And thanks for your time, all devotees, in the morning. And thanks once again. Hare Krishna. Keep reading Bhagavatam and keep attending these classes. Hare Krishna. Thanks again. Srimad Bhagavatam, Skantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai.